Hi, I'm Josh and I cook a lot. Today I'm going to show you how to take a whole ribeye and show you why it's so much more cost effective, show you a bunch of different dishes that you can get out of one whole ribeye instead of going to buy one nice ribeye for about a quarter of the price. You're going to get a bunch of different steaks out of this, tons of different dishes, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. First, I'm going to remove all this excess fat on the outside. We're going to render it down slowly in the oven so that we have our own homemade beef tallow that we could use for tons of different dishes, and in the future it lasts almost forever in the fridge or the freezer. Let's get started. So all this excess fat is just kind of unusable. So what I like to do when I take these whole ribeyes, take all the excess fat off, and like I said, beef tallow, rendered beef tallow, super healthy for you, way better than any other, canola oil or seed oil. It's great for frying, sauteing, and we use it a ton for our catering company, for our cafe out at Tesla, and at home. Way easier to do this because it comes right off. You do not have to go buy this. Tons of companies now are making rendered beef tallow, and they're great, but again, not so cost effective. So if you're gonna buy your own whole ribeye like this, might as well get as much as you can out of it. So I like to take off this front piece as well. And you could use your knife, but most of it just kind of comes right off as long as you're using your fingers for it. The natural seams kind of help you remove all that excess fat. And the knife just helps me get in there a little bit more than my fingers can, but for the most part, using your fingers are way to go. And there we go. The good thing about this too is all this fat in here, right? This is just excess stuff that could have been tossed. Instead, we're gonna save it, render it all down. We're gonna do it in the oven at about 300 degrees for about an hour and a half. And we're gonna be left with about 1.5 quarts of rendered beef tallow. If you were to go buy that much, that alone would cost you anywhere between $20 and $35 depending on the brand that sells it. But for this, came with the product, so let's get it started. So for the first dish in using this entire ribeye, we're gonna be making my absolute favorite part of the entire cow. It's the ribeye cap. So you know that outer piece on the ribeye, super tender. It has the flavor of short rib. And it's, like I said, it's my absolute favorite cut on the whole animal. So I'm super excited about this. And also the cool thing about getting an entire ribeye like this is that you could take off the whole ribeye cap in one piece, which I'm gonna show you how to do. And again, just kind of using your fingers to kind of separate it out, getting the knife in there when necessary. But I'll show you how this all comes off. An entire ribeye cap. This alone, in any butcher shop or store selling meat, this whole piece right here would cost you about $150. I got this entire piece for $160. It's so worth it to buy the whole ribeye. All right, so all I'm gonna do to this absolutely amazing piece of meat is just take off the excess fat, take off some of the silver skin that doesn't break down while cooking. We're gonna add the rendered fat to our pot in the oven to keep that going. And then we're gonna make a steak out of this, sear it up, and then we're gonna serve it with a horseradish cream sauce. Let's do it. Beautiful piece of ribeye cap right there. We're gonna season this up super simple, just salt. Like I said, it's my favorite piece on the entire cow. It has so much flavor, yet so tender at the same time. It is the perfect steak in my opinion, so all it needs is salt. Let's go. We have our ribeye cap, like I said, favorite piece of meat. And like I said, all we're gonna do is season it with salt. We're gonna throw some beef tallow in the pan, get a really good sear on both sides. I like to, when it's thin like this, I kind of like to flip it on super high heat throughout the whole process. Like every 30 to 45 seconds, I flip it. And what that does, it gets the most amazing even crust all the way across. And inside looks like it was almost sous vide, but without having that weird texture from sous vide meat. And it is a perfect mid-rare on the inside. And like I said, the best crust that you'll ever get on the outside. Let's do it. Pretty heavy on the salt. It's a pretty fatty piece of meat, so it can take it. And a lot of it falls off in the pan anyway, so you want to make sure to really heavily season it. Go. And then what I'll do is kind of get the sides too. Seasoned all the way around. Our pan is almost there. We'll do the water test on it. It's ready. So I always have some rendered beef tallow in my fridge. This is from the last batch, and this is infused with a little bit of garlic and thyme and bay leaf as well. Super, super flavorful. So we're just gonna go in with the beef tallow, let that heat up for a sec. Coat the whole pan, smoking hot. Seasoned piece of ribeye cap. We're gonna go right in. And also moving around in the pan too really helps you get that really nice crust evenly across. If you just keep it here, it'll get a good crust, but you're not gonna get a fully even dark brown crust all the way. I also like to push down on the thicker parts. You know, you could use a press here as well, but not necessary. I flip it too much to actually use a press. So we'll flip there for the first one. Let it get set there for a sec. Move it around. For doneness, you could definitely use a thermometer. I have a meter that I use quite a bit, but I've cooked thousands of steaks at this point in my life. I could just kind of tell when it's done. I kind of touch it. You know, you could do this kind of test too. Just feels like that is probably made rare. And then also, huge thing at the end, always let it rest. So before you slice into it, for a piece that's this thin, you know, it's not like a prime rib where you want to wait 30, 45 minutes before you slice. This, after it's done cooking, I let it rest for about 5 minutes tops. And then you're ready to slice so that the juices don't run. But if you wait too long, obviously it can get a little cold because it's a thinner piece of meat. But 5 minutes tops on this would be good to go. I'll flip again. And it doesn't look like you're getting a great crust yet, but the more times you flip, the more even it's going to become at the end. And what you're doing is slowly cooking the inside so that you're getting a mid-rare from top to bottom. So there's no gray area when you slice into it, because that gray area doesn't taste so good on a steak. It's not like a short rib where you want to overcook it, shred it. This, you want that perfect mid-rare throughout the middle and that amazing crust on the outside. All right, after flipping it about 100 times and moving it around the whole time, we have a perfect golden brown crust all the way around. And what we've been doing is kind of searing it on that side, flipping it, searing it there, flipping it, moving it around, flipping it again, moving it around. And now we have a perfectly medium rare inside. I'm gonna let this rest for 5 minutes, slice it, and dip it straight into that horseradish cream sauce. I cannot wait. Stay tuned.
All right, so our shallots are quickly pickled. Next thing I'll do is I'm going to use the cyclone again. Grate one clove of garlic in there. I like to get it super minced up like that. And I find that microplane is the fastest way to mince garlic. Stir that in there. I'm going to start out with some black pepper as well. Freshly cracked cheese. About an eighth of a teaspoon, just a little bit. You don't need much. Then some really good, my favorite olive oil from Graza. You drizzle into that coconut. 2 teaspoons there. And of course, we gotta have horseradish. You could use freshly grated horseradish. I just never find it like strong enough. It just doesn't have the same flavor as a bottle of garlic. So I like the spring Beaver brand, extra hot horseradish. Over extra hot. You gotta find that punch for one horseradish. Don't skip out. So we're gonna go about 2 teaspoons here. Yeah.
All right, so got our horseradish in there. That was about 2.5 teaspoons, just about. Next up, we're gonna do some Dijon mustard, maybe 1/2 teaspoon, just a little bit. And our final 3 ingredients, well, the last 2 that we're gonna add in before we slice our chives: sour cream, Kewpie mayo. Highly suggest using Kewpie mayo. Has a little bit of MSG in there. Really brings out all the flavors. So let's start with the Kewpie mayo. It's about 1.5 tablespoons. Then we're gonna go sour cream. I like equal parts mayo to sour cream. About equal. Get that all mixed up. And then I'm just gonna finish, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish that guy off with some freshly sliced chives. Again, using this awesome new knife that I got from Dahlstrong. Super thin. You could add parsley stems here, scallions, but chives are my go-to for this. Just goes really, really well with steak. All right, scoop those up, add it in. Beautiful. All right, let's give that a little taste test. Woo, spicy. All right, so I'm gonna switch out our knives here. Going back to the Dahlstrong slicer. Beautiful set. So let's slice our steak up, serve it with some of our horseradish cream sauce. We'll be good to go. All right. Let's see how it came out. Look at that. I mean, it's so juicy. Look at that. So much of that good intramuscular fat that you're looking for. Like I said, it's my absolute favorite cut of steak on the whole cow. The ribeye cap. And listen, you can get just the ribeye cap if you go to your local butcher. Costco has them. They got them rolled up. But you're going to be paying a premium for it. So you can get ribeye cap for the same price as the entire ribeye, as long as you buy the ribeye. Follow my directions, break down the whole thing, and use it 7 different ways. All right, so first dish, using the entire ribeye. We took part of the ribeye cap, we cleaned it all, seared it simply with salt. And like I said, this is my favorite cut on the whole cow. I'm so excited to try this. And made a super quick and easy creamy horseradish sauce. Got tons of ingredients in there, but it all kind of works together. Let's try this out. I'm just gonna go dip it right in. Absolute favorite cut. You got to try it out with this creamy horseradish sauce. You will not be able to stop. All right, so for our second dish, we are making a kimchi fried rice, but kind of out of leftovers. We have some ribeye cap from the dish before that is left over. We have rice that I cooked last night, good to go. And then some of my favorites. So we got mother-in-law's kimchi and gochujang. We got Momofuku Goods soy sauce, some really high quality toasted sesame oil, toasted sesame seeds, seaweed, all to garnish. Inside the dish itself, scallions, garlic, ginger, GGS, and then just some extra onion. I had an extra half an onion in the fridge, some leftover shallot as well from the last dish, so let's get it started. All right, so fried rice, let's crack some eggs first. Get those nice and whisked up. These eggs are also my favorite from Happy Egg Co. Gotta try them out. The yolks are absolutely amazing, and they're just so rich and delicious. It's the only eggs that we use here at the house. Just quickly whisk those up, get it ready to go. All right, that's good. Next, we're just gonna slice up our leftover beef. Again, this is using the rib cap. I highly recommend using rib cap also for this if you're gonna use leftovers. Sometimes if you just use the eye, there's just not enough fat in it, and then when you reheat it, it can get kind of overcooked. But honestly, this ribeye cap is super versatile. You could not only sear it and eat it like a steak like we did in the video before, but you could also braise it. No matter what, it's gonna be delicious. If it's overcooked, still all good. So that's where we're going here. And it's the reason why we are using the ribeye cap for the fried rice, because it can hold up to that extra cook, still be super tender and delicious. I'm just gonna cube these up. You could slice them thin, you can cut them thicker, however you want. When I'm making fried rice with leftover meat, I normally tend to cut it a little bit smaller, just so I'm not having like massive bites of steak or chicken or whatever's left over, along with the rice. So, good to go. Next up, we're just gonna slice our aromatics. Little yellow onion here. Like I said, it was left over in my fridge. Perfect for fried rice. Just gonna do a quick little, I got a medium dice on here. You could slice however you want, doesn't matter. Small dice, minced brunoise, large dice, whatever you want. Okay, and we got our garlic, just 2 cloves. Let's slice it up super thin. If you don't like it sliced, you like it minced better, totally fine as well. And the reason I have 2 bowls here is because I'm gonna save the tops to the scallions and put it into this bowl. That's gonna be used for later for garnishing. So we're just gonna cut those guys, clean them up a little bit. Maybe just use these 3. Cut the ends off, peel them, rinse them. All right, got our green onion or scallion bottoms all cleaned up. Just gonna do a quick little slice on these. Again, does not have to be perfect. We're making fried rice. It's gonna be delicious no matter what, especially with all the additions: kimchi, gochujang, sesame oil, leftover beef ribeye cap. This one's gonna be pretty delicious. All right, those are gonna go in this same one right here. This is all gonna get cooked at the same time. And like I said, the only thing we're really reserving for later for garnish is the top. So let's get these cleaned up as well. We got our scallion tops nice and cleaned up. And I like to have everything ready to go too. So you just make the dish, top it with your garnish, good to go. All right, that's good for garnish. Like I said, we'll put this in a separate little bowl. Next, to our aromatics that we're going to cook down, we're going to add some ginger. Just going to peel it a little bit. You could do it with a spoon, however you like. I like using a knife. To me, it's a lot faster. I know the spoon thing works just as well, but not as fast. All right, use our microplane again. Also, the best way to grate ginger, I think, is using a microplane. Doing it with a knife can take quite a while, and you kind of just never get as fine of a mince that you do with the microplane. All right. Just grab the rest off of there. There you go. Last thing we're going to add, I just love using shallots, and they're left over, so I'm just going to cut the end off here. Cut it in half. We're going to do just a nice little small dice on this as well. Again, slice it however you want, doesn't matter. There you go. The last thing we got to chop. That's going to get added in. Obviously, to make this kimchi fried rice, you need some kimchi. Like I said, delicious kimchi from mother-in-law's. This is the one that does have some anchovies and some fish sauce, but you could try out their vegan one as well if you want to do that, but this is definitely my favorite. Just do a nice little rough chop. So we're going to be using the kimchi a couple different ways. We're going to add some of the kimchi juice into the fried rice itself, because when that reduces, that juice is just super, super flavorful. Tons of health benefits as well. Cook it all down, add it into the rice mix, and it's unbelievable. So I'm just gonna take this, and then that'll get added as well to the kimchi fried rice. All right, first, toasted sesame oil, just a touch. I'm gonna use this to kind of cook all of our aromatics real quick. And I have my made-in carbon steel wok, fully ready to go. It's been preheating for a while, so it's super hot. Like I said, we're gonna start off with our aromatics. So a little recap, I'm gonna pull that off real quick. We got onion, ginger, garlic, scallion, all ready to go. Toss that around. We're gonna do a quick hit of salt on that. So they kind of start sweating out a little bit. You do not want this stuff to burn. It's not what you're looking for. Next, we are going to add our kimchi. You do kind of want to cook the kimchi down a little bit because it could be all right, so we got our kimchi ready to go. You do want to cook the kimchi down a little bit, just so it's not super watery at the end. Also, what we're going to do here is go in with the eggs. Just 2. You could add 3 if you want more, but 2's more than enough for what we're doing. And I don't like to really get them super scrambled, like a lot of times that you see. I like to kind of keep them soft because they're going to continue cooking throughout this whole process. So at this point, we're going to add in some of our kimchi juice to get that reducing. And you just need about a tablespoon or so. Adds a ton of flavor, like I said. There you go. That's more than enough right there. Now what we're going to do is just kind of move it aside, just so we can keep it all in one pan. The heat is turned all the way up. We're going to go in with a touch more sesame oil. And then we're going to fry. All right, extra sesame oil is in. Now we're gonna go extra little flavor boost. We're gonna cook out this gochujang. And it's super similar to cooking out tomato paste. It's called a pinçage, fancy French word. But I also, anytime I'm cooking with gochujang in a pan, gotta cook that flavor out a little bit. It's super strong on its own. And it actually brings out more of the like pepperiness, I feel like, if you just cook it out high heat in oil or butter, whatever you're doing, just for about a minute or two. And then you want to start to incorporate all that back into the egg mix. There we go. Again, we're going to move it to the side. Touch more oil. Now we're going to go in with our rice. Pinch of salt. Get that all smashed up in there. Start to incorporate that. Quickly working here because it's still on super high heat. Our leftover ribeye cap, just diced it up. We're gonna add that to it. And again, a pinch more salt. And at this point, we're gonna add in some freshly cracked black pepper over the steak. Let that sit for a sec to get a little nice sear on it, and we'll be good to go. All right, so got a nice little sear on our steak again. Just gonna mix all that in to the kimchi fried rice. I mean, look at this. You got 2 dishes already, and we haven't even touched the eye of the ribeye yet. This is just using the cap. All right, so last 2 things we're gonna add to this kimchi fried rice. My favorite soy sauce on the market right now from Momofuku Goods. Just a dash in there. And then, something you may not think to add to a fried rice, but a little bit of butter, grass-fed butter, to finish this. It just kind of rounds out everything. It's like anytime you make a tomato sauce, tomato soup, anything, always add a little bit of butter. I promise you, it is the best way to finish a dish like this. Once that butter is kind of melted and incorporated into the kimchi fried rice, we are good to go. We just got to garnish it with some scallions and some seaweed. We're all set. All right. We're ready to plate up here. Again, an amazing way to use leftovers that you already have. Kimchi fried rice, one of my favorites. And adding in leftover ribeye cap is not going to disappoint. Make sure to get a bunch of ribeye in there. Oh yeah. All right, just going to top it off with a few things. So I got some seaweed. I got some scallions, just the tops to garnish. The bottoms are already in there. And a little bit of toasted sesame seeds. Good to go. All right, so for our second dish, utilizing an entire ribeye, so 2nd out of 7 dishes. Well, first one's kind of the rendered beef fat, so 2nd out of 6 dishes. We have our kimchi and ribeye cap fried rice. Again, using mostly leftovers. I had leftover shallot, leftover onion, and leftover ribeye cap, and leftover rice. So turn it into a really quick and easy kimchi fried rice. Let's try it out. Hold on. You need to taste that. So quick, so easy. Using leftovers, utilizing your ribeye cap, you really can't beat it. So many flavors going on, so many textures. You could do it so many different ways. You can make a really simple fried rice. You don't have to add the gochujang and the kimchi. I love it. So